So I don't know. It's kind of politicsy, but Trump denied the Stormy Daniels thing. Said he had no idea about the 130 grand or that any of this happened. That is the move.
He's saying he didn't have sex with her now?
Sorry,
I'm trying to
He's saying
understand
he
what it
didn't
is.
know anything about the $130,000 payoff and DA maybe. I don't know. But that's an interesting thing from a legal standpoint because now she can sue him for defamation, perhaps, by calling it because she's being accused of being a liar. And I don't know what their end game is on this thing. Like, I'm not an attorney, but I've been paying close attention, and it seems that Stormy Daniels is wrong. That she had an agreement, and they're making some contention that the agreement said end or, and that somehow means end. But to me, it means end or. Like,
I really like Howard Stern's take on the whole thing. He's like,
go ahead.
You get paid to do something, you do it. When you get paid not to do something, you don't do it. I don't like this. She took the money. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Now the thing is, so her attorney says this. Look, she was supposed to get paid in like 4 different ways because it said we're supposed to get $130,000 and or like this offer from Trump not to say anything on his side too. And or like a couple other things that weren't money. Like he was supposed to fulfill several parts of the deal and all he did is the cash part. But it said and or. So he doesn't have to do
I'm not up on the Stormy Daniels stuff.
So the 130 grand and or Trump also signs an NDA and or Trump does like some other thing, like agrees not to talk to her. And the way that her attorney describes it is he's like, she bought a 4-bedroom house. They gave her 1 bedroom and said, hey, a deal's a deal because there were these other things in the contract that she was supposed to receive as compensation. And he's trying to argue that and or doesn't mean what we all know it means. You know, that you don't have to do all of them because it says...
Like some kind of legalese?
Like if I say I'll give you a red rock and or a white one, and I just give you a red rock, you can't complain about the white one, right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
That's how and or works.
That's how I would assume it worked.
Yeah, so that is like the core of this whole case, whether Trump had to do those other things too.
It's just so weird that they're spending so much time on this. Like there's so much other shit to be talking about, you know?
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, all right. So no one who voted for Trump is surprised by this.
That's true.
Like you're telling me that he's a rich guy who flaunts his money and is loose with women and morals?
And you're saying he's done this on TV for decades.
All you got to do is go back to his Stern interviews. Like he brags about just this sort of thing. Like there's one where like he's on, I think he's in studio. Could be wrong about that. And I think Ben Stiller calls in, and he's like, Ben, we're having a big party tonight. A lot of Playboy models, a lot of pretty girls. You should come by. And Ben Stiller's like, yeah, I'd love to come to that. That sounds awesome. He's like, yeah. We'll have a great time. Trust me. And it's just like, yeah, this guy is just, it's clear.
He's been posing with shit-eating grins saying, look who I'm fucking for 20 years.
Yeah. Like, look, if you find some corruption, if you find some fucking treasonous shit on this guy, if you find out that some bribery, something that's actually against the fucking law.
Why he's not sanctioning Russia.
And not just the laws of morality. Well, he kicked all the diplomats out, right? Like he went along with the recent sanctions and everybody. He joined in condemning them for poisoning.
A couple hundred
kicking
of
diplomats
their
out isn't sanctions, right? Like
whatever.
There were economic sanctions that Obama imposed, and then it turns out he secretly said, don't even worry about those. We're going to get rid of them as soon as we take power, right? Because he was still the president-elect. And then Congress passed something like 533 to two that they had to impose more sanctions. And then
that's
Trump
going back
never
to
imposed them.
Yeah, that's going back to the Crimea thing.
They're not. Well, he gave a lot of arms to Crimea. Trump did. Or no, Ukraine.
Did he? I'm not up to speed on that one. But
yeah,
and then
obviously
so basically Congress
fan
said they needed to pass more sanctions, and then when it got to he signed it, and then he didn't do it. And some people theorize that perhaps it's because Russia has something on. If that turned into a thing, that would be a really big deal. This is just tabloid fodder, right?
Yeah.
This is just
it's just ratings shit. Like there's so much. Like how about we talk about that ridiculous fucking $1.3 trillion spending bill that we just passed, and apparently we're not talking about that anymore. It's like. Apparently, there's not a fucking conservative in the government anymore. They're just,
I don't like the Amazon
we're gonna
thing.
cut taxes. Oh yeah, I don't like him attacking Amazon either. Amazon's a great company that provides an awesome service to millions and millions and millions of people. Like why?
And you know the
why
Washington
bother
Post
with
angle,
that?
right? You know the why.
Yes.
But yeah,
yes.
he owns the Washington Post.
For people
Bezos.
listening who maybe don't know everything, so Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. He also owns Amazon.com, and the Washington Post is very critical of Donald Trump. So Trump is attacking Amazon as a way to silence the press, it would seem. And, you know, for people who are concerned about that sort of thing, it's like, wow, you know, you can't have the state attack the press. You know, the press is almost the fourth arm of government. They keep everybody honest. And when suddenly you're saying like, hey, we're going to fuck with your delivery mechanism of packages if you keep writing about me in your paper, then that seems like the president fights back. And we loved him for it during the candidacy. But as president, he's supposed to kind of rise above. And
Yeah,
that's
the
not his
president
style.
shouldn't be like saying shit like that about any business. I don't think, like any specific business. It's not helpful, you know. And then Chiz keeps writing about it in there. The China, the tariffs and shit. It's a terrible idea. Why would we do that? Like it's a way bigger deal than the media's. Like if you compared the amount of time that like places like CNN or wherever have talked about Stormy Daniels to like this actual big deal of tariffs on China, like. It's not even close. And one of them is an enormous deal, and the other one is a fucking tabloid thing.
So
like
actual tariffs, actual trade wars, bad idea. From what everything I've read, right? But I think that the threat of them to secure a better negotiating position could prove fruitful. No, like I feel like it's definitely it already is bringing countries to the negotiating table to sort of renegotiate how things are done. So that there isn't a trade war. He's almost saying like, hey, I'll fuck both of our economies if I have to. Like, is that what you want? I'll fuck mine a little because it's going to fuck yours a lot. Or we could renegotiate how we do things. It feels like he's sort of, and I don't think that's 4D chess. I think that's just a basic sort of negotiation tactic.
If that's what he's doing, and it probably is what he's doing, then that's a good thing to try and scare them into, coming to the table. But it's not something that we actually want implemented because you're just passing shit on to the consumer.
I'm kind of with you guys on this. So the deal is we have a huge trade imbalance with China, right? We buy way more from them than they sell to. Then we buy the same amount they sell to. Then they buy from us. So Trump is trying to fix that. And in his efforts to fix it, he says, all right, we're putting tariffs on your steel and this and that. And then China hits back with all these tariffs against us, which I'll cover because they're interesting in a second. And now Trump is trying to address like what our next wave of tariffs will have. And I don't know if this trade war is a good idea or a bad idea, but I am pretty sure that the old policy was a bad idea. So the fact that he's trying to do something, well, I'll wait and see how it works out before I say whether he was smart or dumb, because doing something, maybe we'll land in a better spot than we were before, which was a bad spot. Now, what I'm finding super interesting is this. The way that China is putting tariffs on America are politically motivated. They're trying to make Trump lose a re-election. They're going after agriculture. They're going after Rust Belt. They're going after things. I forget who it was, but recently someone we were working with was going to put tariffs on Harley Davidson, which is interesting because Harley Davidson impacts Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House. And so they're going after spots that hurt Republican re-election campaigns intentionally. And if you're like me and you also enjoy like the theatrics and drama of it all, it's like, ooh, like I think that they have had their counterattack strategy for this sort of thing in place for some time, and now they're rolling it out.
They also can they're not as free a country as us. So like there's a lot more hoops to jump through rather, if you're a president here trying to impose tariffs than China, where I'm pretty sure Xing, whatever his name is, can more unilaterally make those decisions because he's got a lot more power than the American president.
He just removed his term limits. He's
Congress gave the power to the president to negotiate deals like this. Like, I'm going to mess it up, but it's something like 15 or 25 years ago. The president has been able to act pretty much unilaterally on this sort of thing. Now, Congress can maybe pull it away if they all vote in that direction or whatever. But right now, the president really gets to call some shots with regards to this. And if nothing else, the drama is great. It's fun to see them, like the smart moves that the different sides are making and how it's going to play out.
Yep. Hopefully it plays out well for us and they come to the table and it's a more fair negotiation instead of, both economies kind of taking a hit.
Six-sided die, we had it too. So Trump decides to re-roll it. If we get better than that, kudos to Trump. If we get worse, not so much. But it was worth rolling, I guess, because we had it too.
Yeah, at least trying.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that could happen? You go back to the old way, you would think? Because China seems pretty fucking happy with that.
I hear. Yeah, that doesn't sound crazy to me. Yeah. So anyway,
let's let it pan out. See what happens. Yeah, but you're right. Like the Stormy Daniels thing's taking up so much time, and nobody's talking about that, and nobody at all is talking about that giant spending bill.